Have you ever felt that unsettling vibe when someone's smile doesn't quite reach their eyes? Or perhaps you've brushed off a comment that left you feeling strangely uneasy, only to wonder later if there was more behind those words? We live in a world where not everyone has the courage to be upfront about their true feelings. Instead, they hide their disdain behind polite facades, leaving you to decipher the truth in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. Imagine this. You're laughing along with friends, thinking everything is fine, but deep down, something feels off. You can't quite put your finger on it, but there's a nagging suspicion that maybe, just maybe, you're not as welcome as you think. It's a brutal realization, but here's the hard truth. If you don't learn to recognize these hidden signs, you might end up wasting precious time and energy on people who don't truly value you. In this journey, we're going to peel back the layers of deception and reveal the telltale signs that someone secretly dislikes you. It might be uncomfortable, even painful, but isn't it better to face the truth than to live in a comforting lie? Stick with me, because what we're about to uncover could change the way you see the relationships in your life forever. Section 1. Jokes that target your flaws. Let's start with something we've all experienced but often overlook, the jokes that hit just a little too close to home. Picture this. You're in a group setting, the atmosphere is light, and someone cracks a joke at your expense. Everyone laughs, including you, because after all, it's just a joke, right? But as the laughter fades, a tiny seed of doubt is planted in your mind. Why do these jokes always seem to target your quirks, your mistakes, the things you're already insecure about? And why is it that these harmless comments never seem to touch on your strengths, only your perceived weaknesses? It's as if they're chipping away at your confidence, bit by bit, under the guise of humor. I've been there, laughing along, trying to convince myself that it's all in good fun until I started noticing a pattern. The same person, the same type of jokes, always directed at my so-called flaws. At first, I shrugged it off thinking I was being too sensitive. But over time, the weight of those words began to crush my self-esteem. I started second-guessing myself, wondering if maybe, just maybe, those flaws were as glaring as they made them out to be. Here's where it gets real. People who consistently joke about your flaws aren't doing it out of affection. They're testing the waters, seeing how much disrespect you'll tolerate. It's a subtle form of manipulation. A way for them to assert dominance while keeping you in your place. And the most insidious part, they get away with it because we've been conditioned to believe that if we can't take a joke, we're the ones with the problem. But let's flip that script right now. There's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself when a joke crosses the line. In fact, it's essential. You deserve to be surrounded by people who lift you up, not those who knock you down just to get a cheap laugh. True friends don't need to point out your flaws to feel better about themselves. They celebrate your strengths and help you work through your weaknesses without making you the punchline. So the next time someone makes a joke at your expense, don't just laugh it off. Ask yourself, is this really funny, or is there something more going on here? And if the answer is the latter, don't be afraid to call them out. It might be uncomfortable, it might even end the friendship, but your self-respect is worth far more than someone's misguided sense of humor. Life's too short to spend it with people who don't see your true value. Section 2. Compliments that sting. Let's delve deeper into the world of subtle disrespect, those compliments that leave you questioning whether you've just been praised or subtly insulted. It's a moment we've all faced. Someone says something that on the surface sounds like a compliment, but there's a hidden sting to it, a slight edge that makes you pause and wonder, was that really meant to make me feel good? Imagine working tirelessly on a project, pouring your heart and soul into it, and finally sharing it with those you trust. Then, with a smile, someone tells you, wow, this is actually pretty good for someone like you. On the surface, it seems positive, but those last few words, for someone like you, cut deeper than any outright criticism ever could. It's as if they've placed you in a box, one where they believe you don't truly belong, and any success you achieve is somehow surprising. These backhanded compliments are not just careless words, they are calculated, often delivered with a hidden agenda. The person giving them isn't trying to uplift you, they're trying to remind you of your place, to keep you from rising too high. It's a power play, a way to assert their superiority while making you doubt your own abilities. I've been on the receiving end of these so-called compliments, and let me tell you, they can be more damaging than any outright insult. They're designed to keep you second-guessing yourself, to make sure you don't get too comfortable with your own success. But here's the thing. These words say more about the person giving them than they ever will about you. The truth is, people who give backhanded compliments are often struggling with their own insecurities. They see your potential, your strengths, and it scares them. So they resort to these sly little digs, hoping to keep you in check. It's like they're patting you on the back with one hand while holding you down with the other. But you don't have to accept this disguised hostility. You have the power to see it for what it really is, a reflection of their insecurities, not a measure of your worth. The next time someone says, "You're smarter than you look," or "This is good considering you're new at this," don't just let it slide. Respond with, "Thanks, but what do you mean by that?" It forces them to confront the insult hidden in their words and puts the power back in your hands. Here's the takeaway. Don't let anyone's veiled negativity define you. Compliments should lift you up, not tear you down. If someone's words leave you questioning yourself, it's time to question their intentions instead. Life is too short to waste on people who can't genuinely celebrate your successes. Surround yourself with those who see your value and aren't afraid to let you know it, without any strings attached. Section 3, Social Exclusion. Now let's talk about one of the most painful, yet often overlooked forms of rejection, being subtly excluded from social plans. It's not just the big, glaring omissions that hurt. It's the small, seemingly insignificant moments that sting the most. You know the ones. You scroll through your feed and see pictures of friends at a dinner, a party, or a weekend getaway, events you would have loved to be a part of. But there's one glaring detail: you were never invited. It's easy to brush it off, to tell yourself it was just an oversight, that maybe they thought you were too busy or that the plan was made last minute. But deep down, you know the truth. If they wanted you there, they would have made sure you knew about it. It wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate choice, a silent message that you're not as valued as you thought. I've been there too. I remember the gut-wrenching realization when I saw pictures of a group of friends having a great time at an event I didn't even know was happening. When I casually brought it up later, they were full of excuses. "Oh, we thought you were busy," or "It was such a last-minute thing." But no excuse could mask the reality. If I truly mattered to them, they would have made the effort to include me. Here's where it gets hard to swallow. This kind of exclusion isn't just thoughtlessness. It's deliberate. It's a passive-aggressive way of sending a message without having to say a word. They don't want you there, but they don't have the guts to tell you to your face. Instead, they hope you'll just fade out of the group quietly without causing a scene. It's easier to convince yourself that it really was just a mistake, rather than face the painful truth that you're being pushed out. But here's the thing. If you keep accepting those excuses, you're giving them permission to keep excluding you. You're letting them decide your place in their lives, rather than taking control of your own narrative. I had to learn this the hard way. For a while, I kept quiet, letting those accidental exclusions slide, hoping that maybe next time I'd be included. But then it hit me. By staying silent, I was allowing myself to be treated as an afterthought. So I did something uncomfortable, something that went against my instinct to keep the peace. I started calling them out on it. I'd say, "Hey, I saw you guys went out last weekend. Why didn't anyone invite me?" It wasn't easy, and it definitely made things awkward, but it also forced them to confront their behavior. And you know what? The dynamics changed. Some people got defensive, others tried to make up for it, but the bottom line was clear. I wasn't going to let them exclude me without a fight. Here's the deep message. If people truly want you in their lives, they'll make the effort to include you, no matter how last minute the plan is. And if they don't, then it's time to rethink the value of those relationships. You deserve to be around people who don't make you feel like you're constantly chasing after their approval or attention. True friends don't forget to invite you. They make sure you're there because they genuinely enjoy your company. So if you find yourself being subtly excluded from plans, don't just brush it off. Confront it. Ask the hard questions and be prepared for the answers, even if they're not what you want to hear. Because at the end of the day, it's better to know where you truly stand than to be left wondering why you were left out again. Remember, you're not a backup option, you're a priority. Surround yourself with people who treat you like one. Section 4. Perpetual busyness. Let's dive into another subtle but telling sign when someone is perpetually too busy for you. We've all heard it before. I'm so busy these days. Sorry, I can't hang out. It's the perfect excuse, right? After all, who isn't busy? But what happens when you start noticing a pattern, when this person always seems to find time for others, yet is somehow swamped whenever it comes to you? It's a hard truth to face, but here it is. They're not too busy. They're just too busy for you. I know this feeling all too well. I remember reaching out to a friend I used to be close with, trying to set up a time to catch up. Every time I suggested something, they had an excuse. I'm working late. I've got a lot on my plate. Maybe next week. Meanwhile, I'd see them posting pictures of outings with other friends, always finding a way to make time for everyone else, except me. It took me longer than I'd like to admit to see the pattern, but eventually the message they were sending became loud and clear. I wasn't a priority in their life anymore. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. We've been conditioned to accept busy as a valid reason to be pushed aside. But let's be honest, people make time for what and who they care about. If someone is constantly busy when it comes to you, it's not about their schedule. It's about their priorities. I've been on both sides of this. There were times when I was the one making excuses, too afraid to tell someone that I'd outgrown the friendship, but being on the receiving end taught me a valuable lesson. It's better to be honest, even if it's uncomfortable, than to string someone along with excuses. When I finally called out my friend on always being busy, the conversation was awkward, no doubt about it. But it was necessary. It gave me the clarity I needed to move on and invest my time and energy in relationships where I was truly valued. Here's the deep message. Your time is precious, and so is your energy. Don't waste it on people who can't be bothered to make time for you. If someone is constantly too busy for you, it's time to reassess the relationship. You deserve to be around people who are excited to see you, who make an effort to include you in their lives, not just when it's convenient for them, but because they genuinely enjoy your company. It's important to recognize that people change, and so do relationships. Sometimes we hold on to people out of habit, nostalgia, or fear of being alone, even when they've clearly moved on. But there's strength in letting go, in acknowledging that you deserve more than someone's leftover time. This isn't about being needy or demanding. It's about valuing yourself enough to walk away from those who don't value you. Life is too short to spend it waiting around for someone to fit you into their schedule. Surround yourself with those who don't just make time for you, but who prioritize you because they see your worth and genuinely want you in their lives. Section 5. Avoiding physical contact. Let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed but speaks volumes when someone consistently avoids physical contact with you. It might seem like a small thing, but physical contact is one of the most basic ways we connect with each other. Whether it's a handshake, a pat on the back, or a simple hug, these gestures are how we show warmth, trust, and a sense of belonging. But what does it mean when someone goes out of their way to avoid even the most casual touch? Maybe they stiffen up when you're near, or they recoil when you reach out for a handshake. At first, you might dismiss it as them just not being a touchy-feely person. But then you start to notice something strange. They're perfectly comfortable with everyone else. It's only around you that they seem to have an invisible barrier, keeping you at arm's length. I've been there, working alongside someone who was friendly with others, quick to share a laugh or a friendly touch, but when it came to me, it was like there was an invisible wall. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but the more I observed, the clearer it became. Their avoidance wasn't just a quirk, it was a deliberate effort to keep me at a distance. Here's where it gets real. Physical contact is a natural part of human interaction. When someone consistently avoids it with you, they're not just avoiding touch, They're avoiding closeness, intimacy, and vulnerability. They're sending a clear signal that they're uncomfortable around you, and it's time to pay attention. Sure, some people just aren't into physical contact, and that's okay. But when it's selective, when they're warm and tactile with others but distant with you, it's a red flag that something's off. They might not dislike you enough to say it outright, but their body language is doing all the talking. We've all been there, on both sides of this equation. Maybe you've avoided a handshake or leaned back when someone got too close because you just weren't feeling the connection. Or maybe you've been on the receiving end, wondering why someone always seems to flinch when you're around. It's uncomfortable, it's awkward, and it's often a sign that the relationship isn't as strong as you'd like to think. But here's the deeper truth. Physical contact isn't just about touch. It's about connection. When someone avoids it with you, they're not just avoiding closeness, they're keeping you at a distance, both literally and figuratively. It's a clear indication that there's an underlying issue in the relationship. I've learned to pay attention to these cues, even when it's hard to admit what they mean. There was a time when I ignored the signs, convincing myself that someone's reluctance to get close was just a personality trait. But the more I reflected on it, the more I realized that it was about me and our relationship. When I finally confronted the situation, it led to some tough conversations, and in some cases, the end of the relationship. But it also freed me from the frustration of wondering why things felt off. Here's the deep message. Don't ignore the signs when someone avoids physical contact with you. It's more than just a preference. It's a statement about their level of comfort and connection with you. If you notice this pattern, don't be afraid to address it. It might lead to a deeper understanding, or it might reveal that the relationship isn't as solid as you thought. Either way, it's better to confront the truth than to live in denial. And remember, you deserve relationships where physical contact isn't something to be avoided, but something that happens naturally and comfortably. Whether it's a friendly hug, a handshake, or just sitting close without feeling awkward, these small gestures build trust and connection. If someone consistently avoids them, it's a sign that something's not right. Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions, and if necessary, make the tough decisions. Life's too short to be surrounded by people who keep you at a distance, literally and figuratively. Section 6. Disappearing when you need support. Let's get real about one of the most telling signs of all. When someone disappears, the moment you need them the most. It's easy to be around for the good times, to laugh, to celebrate, to share in the joys of life. But nothing reveals the true nature of a relationship like a crisis. When things fall apart, that's when you find out who your real friends are. So, what does it say about someone when they vanish just as you're reaching out for help? When you're going through one of the hardest moments of your life, and suddenly they're nowhere to be found. It's not just a sign of flakiness, it's a neon warning that they're not as invested in you as you might have thought. I've been there. I remember a particularly rough patch in my life when everything seemed to be crumbling around me. Naturally, I turned to the people I considered close friends, expecting some level of support, even if it was just a text or a quick call. But what did I get? Silence. The people I thought would be there for me suddenly had every excuse in the book. I'm so swamped at work. Sorry, I'm just really busy right now. I'll check in with you later. Spoiler alert, they never did. Here's the harsh truth. People love to talk about how they'll always be there for you, but when push comes to shove, many of them are only around for the good times. They'll party with you, laugh with you, and enjoy the high points of your life, but the minute things get real, they're nowhere to be found. It's easier for them to ghost you than to deal with your pain or discomfort. They don't want to be dragged into your problems because deep down, they don't care enough to be there when it counts. And let's be brutally honest, true support isn't about convenience. It's about being there when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, and when it's the last thing you want to do. The people who disappear when you need them most aren't just being inconsiderate, they're showing you exactly where you stand in their life. They're saying without words, your problems aren't worth my time. I remember feeling absolutely gutted when I realized that the people I'd been there for in the past, during their breakups, their family dramas, their career setbacks. Couldn't be bothered to return the favor. It was a wake-up call, and not a pleasant one, but it was also a lesson I needed to learn. Not everyone who smiles in your face is truly in your corner. Here's the deep message. Support is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. It's easy to be around when everything's going well, but the real test of a relationship is how people respond when things fall apart. If someone disappears the moment you need them, they're not just failing you, they're showing you that they were never really there in the first place. But don't let their absence make you bitter. Let it make you better. Use it as a filter to sift out the people who don't deserve a place in your life. The ones who stick around, who check in, who show up even when it's inconvenient. Those are the people who truly matter. And those are the relationships you should nurture and cherish. In the end, life is too short to invest in fair weather friends. Surround yourself with people who will stand by you in the storm, not just bask in the sunshine. Because when you find those rare individuals who stick around when the chips are down, you found something worth holding on to. And as for those who disappear, let them go. They've already shown you their true colors. Section 7. Gossip behind your back. Now, let's confront one of the most insidious forms of betrayal, gossip. It's the social poison that spreads faster than wildfire, burning down relationships and trust in an instant. We've all been warned about it, but nothing truly prepares you for the sting of finding out that someone you trusted has been talking about you behind your back. It's not just the betrayal that hurts. It's the realization that someone you thought was a friend is actively undermining your reputation and your relationship. Imagine this. You confide in someone about a personal issue, something that's been weighing heavily on your mind. You trust them to keep it between the two of you, to respect the vulnerability you've shown. But within days, you start hearing whispers, twisted versions of your story making the rounds, distorted and exaggerated. The person you trusted has turned your pain into entertainment for others. I've been there, and let me tell you, it's one of the most gut-wrenching experiences you can go through. The pain isn't just in the gossip itself, but in the knowledge that someone you considered a friend didn't value your trust, didn't respect your privacy. They took something personal, something raw and real, and turned it into fodder for others. It's a betrayal that cuts deep because it's done in the shadows without giving you a chance to defend yourself or even know what's being said. Here's the controversial truth. People who gossip about you aren't just venting or sharing concerns, they're playing a power game. Gossip is a way for them to elevate themselves while putting you down, all without having to confront you directly. It's cowardly, it's manipulative, and it's toxic. They're not just damaging your reputation, they're damaging the very foundation of trust that any real relationship is built on. And let's get one thing straight. People who gossip about others to you will gossip about you to others. It's not a one-time thing. It's a pattern, a habit of spreading negativity and sowing discord wherever they go. I've seen it happen too many times to count. Someone who loves to spill the tea on everyone else suddenly goes quiet when you're around. Guess what? They're probably spilling your tea when you're not around. I remember confronting a friend who gossiped about me, expecting at least an apology or an explanation. Instead, they brushed it off like it was no big deal, just a bit of harmless talk. But here's the thing. Gossip is never harmless. It's a betrayal, plain and simple, and it says far more about the person spreading it than it does about the person it's about. Here's the deep message. Gossip reveals the true character of a person. When someone gossips about you, they're showing you that they don't respect you, don't value your trust, and aren't truly your friend. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's better to know the truth than to live in ignorance. So don't be afraid to confront those who gossip about you. Call them out on their behavior and make it clear that you won't tolerate it. And if they try to brush it off as harmless, stand your ground. Gossip is never innocent, and it's not something to be taken lightly. Remember, your trust is valuable, and it should only be given to those who truly deserve it. Life is too short to surround yourself with people who tear you down behind your back. Seek out those who lift you up, who protect your privacy, and who value your friendship enough to keep your confidence. Because in the end, those are the relationships that truly matter, the ones worth holding on to. Section 8, they never acknowledge your achievements. Let's dive into another subtle yet powerful sign of underlying negativity, when someone consistently fails to acknowledge your achievements. Think about it. You've worked hard, put in the effort, and finally reached a milestone that means the world to you. You share your success with those you care about, expecting a simple congratulations or at least a nod of acknowledgement. But instead, you're met with silence, indifference, or worse, a dismissive comment that makes your accomplishments seem insignificant. It's one of those situations that might not seem like a big deal at first, but over time, it begins to gnaw at you. Why does this person never seem to celebrate your victories? Why do they act as if your achievements don't matter? The truth is, their silence speaks volumes. It's a form of passive resistance, a way of downplaying your success to keep you in check. I've been in this position too. I remember reaching a significant career milestone, something I had worked tirelessly for. Naturally, I was excited to share the news with my close circle. Most people were genuinely happy for me, but there was that one person whose reaction stood out. A forced smile, a half-hearted, "That's nice," and then a quick change of subject. It felt like they were trying to pretend my achievement didn't exist, as if acknowledging it would somehow diminish their own worth. Here's the harsh reality. When someone can't bring themselves to celebrate your success, it's often because they're struggling with their own insecurities. Your achievement reminds them of what they haven't accomplished, of the goals they've fallen short of, and instead of being happy for you, they choose to downplay or ignore your success altogether. It's a defense mechanism, a way to protect their fragile ego. But here's the thing. Your achievements deserve to be celebrated. You've worked hard, you've earned it, and no one has the right to make you feel small in your moment of victory. The people who truly care about you will celebrate your successes, no matter how big or small. They'll lift you up, share in your joy, and encourage you to keep striving for more. When someone consistently fails to acknowledge your achievements, it's a sign that they may not have your best interests at heart. They might be secretly hoping for your downfall, or simply unable to handle the idea of you outshining them. Either way, it's a toxic dynamic that can chip away at your self-worth if you let it. Here's the deep message. Don't let anyone's indifference or negativity take away from your accomplishments. Your success is a testament to your hard work, your dedication, and your resilience. Surround yourself with people who recognize that, who celebrate your wins as if they were their own, and who inspire you to keep pushing forward. If someone in your life never seems to acknowledge your achievements, it's time to reassess that relationship. Ask yourself, do they genuinely care about me? Or are they more concerned with keeping me down? Life is too short to waste on people who can't celebrate your success. Find those who see your value, who uplift you, and who are truly happy for you when you succeed, because those are the relationships that will help you grow, thrive, and become the best version of yourself. Section 9, inconsistent support. Now let's turn our attention to something that can be even more confusing and hurtful. When someone's support for you is inconsistent. It's one thing when someone is always there for you or never there at all. But when their support wavers depending on their mood or what they stand to gain, it can leave you feeling uncertain, questioning whether they truly care about you. Imagine this. You're going through a challenging time and you reach out for support. Sometimes they're there offering a listening ear, a shoulder to lean on, but other times when you need them just as much, they're suddenly too busy, distracted, or simply indifferent. It's a roller coaster of emotions. One day you feel valued, the next you're left wondering what you did wrong. I've experienced this firsthand, and it's one of the most disorienting feelings. I remember relying on someone who seemed like they genuinely cared. Sometimes. There were days when they were all in, helping me through tough situations, making me feel like I could count on them. But then there were other days when they were distant, unavailable, or just not interested in what I was going through. It made me feel like my struggles weren't important enough to merit consistent attention. Here's where it gets real. Inconsistent support isn't about you. It's about them. It's about their inability to commit fully, their hesitation to invest in someone else's well-being unless it's convenient or beneficial for them. This kind of behavior often stems from a lack of genuine care or emotional maturity. They might show up when it's easy or when they want something from you, but when it requires real effort or offers them no immediate benefit, they pull back. This kind of inconsistent support can be incredibly damaging, leaving you feeling unstable, unsure of where you stand. It's like trying to build a house on shifting sand. One moment you feel secure, the next, everything is slipping away. It's exhausting, emotionally draining, and ultimately unsustainable. But here's the deeper truth. True support is steady and reliable. It doesn't come and go based on convenience or personal gain. It's there in the good times and the bad, in the moments of triumph and the depths of despair. The people who truly care about you will stand by you consistently, steady, not just when it suits them. So if you find yourself dealing with someone whose support is as inconsistent as a flickering light, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate that relationship. Ask yourself, are they really there for me, or are they just playing a part when it's easy? Here's the deep message. Your time and energy are too valuable to waste on people who can't offer consistent support. Surround yourself with those who are there for you, not just when it's convenient, but because they genuinely care. Life is too unpredictable to rely on people who are only part-time friends. Seek out those who offer steady, unwavering support, who are there for you through every twist and turn, because those are the relationships that will truly enrich your life, providing the foundation you need to face whatever comes your way. Section 10. They diminish your problems. Finally, let's address one of the most disheartening signs of all. When someone diminishes your problems, making you feel like your concerns are trivial or unimportant, it's a subtle form of invalidation that can leave you questioning your own experiences and feelings, making you wonder if you're overreacting or being overly sensitive. Picture this. You muster the courage to open up about something that's been weighing heavily on your mind. Maybe it's a difficult situation at work, a personal struggle, or a challenge that's been keeping you up at night. You turn to someone you trust, hoping for empathy, support, or even just a listening ear. But instead of understanding, you're met with a casual dismissal. It's not that big of a deal. You're making a mountain out of a molehill, or just get over it. I've been there too. I remember sharing something deeply personal, something that had been causing me a lot of stress and anxiety. Instead of receiving the comfort or support I was hoping for, I was told, "You're overthinking it." It felt like a slap in the face, as if my feelings didn't matter, as if the pain I was experiencing was somehow less valid. It left me feeling small, unheard, and even more isolated. Here's the harsh reality. When someone diminishes your problems, they're not just brushing off your concerns. They're telling you in no uncertain terms that your feelings don't matter to them. It's a way of shutting down the conversation, of avoiding the discomfort of dealing with someone else's pain. And while it might seem like a small thing, over time, this kind of invalidation can have a profound impact on your self-worth. It's easy to start doubting yourself, to internalize their dismissal, and convince yourself that maybe your problems aren't that important after all. But here's the truth. Your feelings are valid, your experiences are real, and anyone who truly cares about you will understand that, no matter how big or small the issue might seem. When someone diminishes your problems, it's often a reflection of their own discomfort with vulnerability or their inability to offer genuine empathy. They might not know how to handle your emotions, so they downplay them to avoid dealing with the situation. But this isn't about you. It's about them and their limitations. Here's the deeper message. Don't let anyone make you feel like your problems are insignificant. You deserve to be heard, to have your feelings acknowledged and respected. Surround yourself with people who take your concerns seriously, who offer support without judgment, and who understand that sometimes just being there and listening is the most powerful thing they can do. Life is full of challenges, big and small, and you deserve to have people in your corner who will stand by you through them all. If someone consistently diminishes your problems, it's time to rethink that relationship. Ask yourself, Do they truly care about me, or are they more concerned with avoiding discomfort? In the end, your well-being is what matters most. Seek out those who offer genuine support, who validate your feelings, and who understand that even the smallest problems deserve to be acknowledged, because those are the relationships that will help you grow, heal, and thrive. Life is too short to be surrounded by people who make you feel like your struggles don't matter. Choose to be with those who see your worth and who are willing to stand by you, no matter what you're going through. Conclusion. As we come to the end of this exploration into the subtle signs that someone may secretly dislike you, it's important to pause and reflect on what all of this truly means. Each of these signs, whether it's the cutting jokes, the backhanded compliments, the social exclusion, the inconsistent support, or the dismissal of your problems, points to a deeper truth about the relationships in our lives. We all want to believe that those around us genuinely care, that they have our best interests at heart. But the reality is, not everyone will. Some people will wear masks, hiding their true feelings behind polite facades and empty words. They'll undermine you with subtle jabs, pull away when you need them most, and make you feel like your struggles aren't worth their time. It's painful, but recognizing these signs is the first step in protecting yourself from the emotional toll they can take. So, what do you do with this knowledge? You use it to reclaim your power. You use it to set boundaries, to distance yourself from those who bring you down rather than lift you up. You use it to surround yourself with people who genuinely value you, who celebrate your successes, who stand by you through thick and thin, and who respect your feelings and experiences. Remember, you deserve relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, trust, and genuine care. Life is too short to waste on people who can't see your worth, who make you question your value, or who treat you as anything less than the remarkable person you are. If you recognize any of these signs in your relationships, don't ignore them. Pay attention to how people make you feel, and don't be afraid to take action to protect your well-being. It might mean having difficult conversations, setting firmer boundaries, or even letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. But in doing so, you're making room for the right people to enter your life, those who will truly appreciate, support, and love you for who you are. In the end, the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. Prioritize your self-respect, your peace of mind, and your emotional health. Surround yourself with those who enrich your life and let go of those who drain it. You are worthy of love, respect, and kindness. Never forget that. So stand tall, be brave, and choose to fill your life with people who see your true value and who treat you with the care and respect you deserve. Because when you do, you'll find that life becomes not just bearable, but truly beautiful, surrounded by the kind of love and support that everyone deserves.